Welcome back to Tabletop Syndicate. Today, we're doing a review over our Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Draft Bracket. So, we did a video of us drafting these different decks for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. And now that we've each got our teams, went back, seeded them as best we could, threw them into this bracket you're looking at now. So, we're just going to do a little bit of talking on the bracket, how it has shaped out, and a little bit about our teams in this bracket and what we think is going to happen. So, Joker Prime here, going to let Squints kick us off.
All right, excellent. So, seeded the top four teams the best that we could at the moment. Exodia, I think, is going to be my strongest team, and so it's number one seed right there, right up there at the very top. And so it's got some pretty nasty monsters in it. However, there is a pretty cool mechanic, kind of like a trump card. Well, I guess trump cards. You can collect several cards in succession and essentially win the game. So that if you can pull that mechanic off, it's basically you win the game. Pretty nasty. And if you can't do that, though, the rest of the monsters in the deck are strong. So I think they'll be really good to play. For my second seed, down at the bottom of the bracket, the Blue Eyes. So that's a traditional deck, old school, really strong monsters that you can special summon potentially. But even if you can't special summon them, they're not like terribly difficult to get on the field, and they have really good defense values, attack values, and so they should play pretty tough and competitive against any deck that we have in this particular tournament. I think, let's see here, my 3 seed is the Spellcasters. The cool thing about the Spellcasters is it has several different, like, Dark Magician, not several, I should say, but it has Dark Magician, I believe, maybe even Dark Magician, I'm forgetting
Girl.
the name. Thank you, Dark Magician Girl, potentially. I can't remember. I have to go back through my deck, but it has several different Spellcasters, which normally, on top of the attack damages that they have, their attack and their defense values, have some really cool effects that can be annoying for your opponent to mess with. And so they should be able to compete at a pretty high level, but not sure if they could beat my other seeds. And then to finish off again, we only seeded the top 4. To finish off, my 4th seed was the Water deck. And I've played that actually quite a few times. I think it's one of the first decks I played to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's just, I don't know, it's really fun with the field spell that deck has with it. If you can pull Yumi out, it really makes the rest of the card kind of a little. Did I cut out for a second?
Just a second, but you're good.
Okay. Yeah, so, the cool thing with Yumi is it makes the rest of your deck really strong, on top of potentially, depending on how you can play it, defensive. So it becomes very difficult to damage my life points, which is obviously really annoying for your opponent to mess with. So those are my top 4 seeds. I'm excited to see if I can pull off some of their mechanics. I think they'll be competitive. And then the rest of my teams, I think, will still be fun, but I don't think they could beat my top 4 seeds.
Yeah, and then I've got my 1 seed right there in the very middle is the Fiend deck. I've only played it once or twice. I remember feeling like it was pretty powerful, though. So that is my 1 seed. I think it has a good chance of going deep. Obviously, any given duel could go almost either way, especially as we get a little deeper into this bracket. But there's basically a lot of annoying things for your opponent as far as just taking out their monsters, and also very easy to get out your heavy hitter monsters in that deck, if I remember correctly. My 2 seed is my Egyptian God card deck. The Egyptian gods are obviously very powerful. All 3 of them are in that deck. Obviously, typically, you're not going to be actually trying to get out all 3 of them at once. But that deck is really built around being able to fill up your monster zones. So kind of protecting your life points by having things in the way, and then easily being able to tribute once you do get one of your god cards. So I think that deck will be pretty fun. I think it's pretty powerful. I don't know how it stands up to Exodia, being able to just automatically win for getting 5 cards in your hand. But if you can take out Exodia before that point, then obviously that's going to be the goal if we get to that point. If that matches up, that won't be until the semifinals, though, if that matchup happens.
Right.
Then my 3 seed is my my Legendary Dragons deck down here. It's, again, is a really fun deck. I think it has the potential to be really powerful and annoying just because it is set up to easily get out high-level, high attack and defense monsters. It's very heavily based on fusion summoning, so being able to easily fusion summon strong monsters, that's pretty strong right there, especially since we mentioned we play a little bit old school. For this tournament, we're going to be playing fusion and ritual monsters. We will not be using any synchro or Xyz. If you see a pendulum monster come out, we're playing it just basic as the monster, not using the pendulum effects or the pendulum zones.
Yeah, it's a good thing to bring up because, I mean, that definitely changes the way that we see. Plus, it's, like we've already mentioned, this is kind of the old school type Yu-Gi-Oh! That you and I prefer.
Right. Just much more familiar with it this time, at least.
Sure.
Then there is my 4 seed, which is my Fire. So it's kind of funny. Our very last picks, Fire and Water, both of them are our 4 seeds. He briefly mentioned his Water can be hard to hit. It has the potential to be a very frustrating deck with Yuumi giving all kinds of protection and things like that. My Fire deck, there are a couple cards that when comboed together are highly frustrating. Same type of thing. Really hard to damage that team if I can pull off the right combo. But there's a little bit of burn effect with burning off life points, both mine and my opponents at times. So it's a pretty strategic deck. If you can pull it off right, though, it can be frustrating for your opponent. I don't think it stands toe-to-toe with some of these more advanced decks here, but pull off that right combo and it can give them a hard time.
Absolutely. So those should be fun. I think we mentioned once or twice already in this video, and maybe even the draft video. We haven't played in a while, and so it's kind of difficult seeding some of these decks. And so, maybe after playing them once or twice, we'll realize, oh, wow, that was a lot more powerful than I was imagining, or, you know what, that wasn't as powerful as I thought. But that's kind of sometimes the fun of making brackets is to see, wow, we were either right on point or, wow, we were way off.
Yeah, so some of these decks are really strong, but none of these decks necessarily are built to be meta decks. These are all built to be fun, casual decks, like we've talked about, based on some nostalgia in ways a little bit thematic rather than, I wish I could go out and win a tournament with it type of thing.
Right.
So hopefully it's a lot of fun. Hopefully you enjoy watching.
Yeah, so for me, I have one team that I'm hoping will pull through a little bit deeper than maybe I'm thinking they would before I seeded, and that's just my newer Wave of Light. It was fun when we played that game. If you haven't seen it, we played a game, Zombies versus Wave of Light. It was fun. They didn't do great, but I think that if I can pull a few things off with that field spell that they have, I think they could be pretty strong. So I'm hoping to pull off 2 wins at least with that deck. Do you have any decks that maybe you're thinking might be like an underdog?
Jeez, you're wanting to upset my Legendary Dragons with your Wave of Light, huh?
I mean, I don't want to. I do like pulling upsets sometimes, but
it does make me a little nervous, admittedly, because I feel like you didn't get to pull out its full potential. I think having 2 games with it under your belt going into that match, I think there's some hidden potential there, so it could happen.
No doubt.
For me, funny enough, my insect deck, I'm hoping to, I guess I'd only be able to get 1 game in with it,
right.
But I'm hoping to not lose that one because that one is fun, but it's just kind of annoying if you pull out its thing. makes it almost impossible for your opponent to make attacks.
Right.
Then the other one that I'm hoping to at least make it past the first round with would be my Red Eyes. But it's playing into Exodia. I don't know that it matches up there. Obviously, as I said earlier in this video, if I can do damage to Exodia before you can accumulate all those pieces, but there's a lot of protection built into that Exodia deck to give you time to get there. So I'm hoping to at least get Red Eyes to play them twice.
Absolutely, yeah. So it'll be fun to see if we see some upsets. I mean, I know in tournaments that we've done with HeroClix, we've seen a lot of upsets, and it sucks whenever you're on the losing end of an upset, but it's kind of cool to go back and look at on the brackets and whatnot. So
absolutely, I feel like the difference here a little bit is just I feel like it's a little easier to seed these than HeroClix.
Fair, yeah.
I think
these are set decks, kind of versus keywords.
Yeah.
There's so many different pieces you can put on a team with a single keyword.
Yeah, but we're going to be bringing you some action, so we'll be playing out this whole tournament for you to watch. Probably be introducing them once per week. We might speed it up if we start getting more demand, a little more viewership, subscribers, likes, and things like that. We might start releasing them a little more frequently. But the plan right now, we'll start playing through these matchups and start putting them out once a week for you guys to hopefully follow along with. I'll add a link to this bracket if you want to print it out and try to make some predictions. Try to follow along as we're playing through. If you have fun doing that, like a
March Madness type thing.
Exactly. If you like trying to fill out brackets and predict and things like that. Please like and subscribe. If you got any feedback for us, hit us up in the comments.
Absolutely.
Tabletop Syndicate. See ya.